T.I.'s son King Harris has been arrested after not appearing in court and some other things connected trying to coddle him far. Let the man walk off. Have some time to sit down, soak it up and come up with what he need to do. I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for family hustle. That does come with some, it's some adversity. It's some adversity that come with that. People get in your bed. They ain't talking about anything else right now because the Harris family is living through a nightmare. That's darker than anything they've ever faced. And this time it ain't about flashy jewelry or viral Instagram rants. It's about survival inside one of the coldest, deadliest places on Earth. King Harris, son of rap icon T and Tiny, is fighting for his life in intensive care after a savage prison attack that sounds more like a gangland movie than real life. Sources say King was jumped inside his block with such violence that guards had to drag his broken body out, while chaos exploded all around. Witnesses claim his face was swollen, his body barely moving while the whole prison erupted into a wild melee that left several inmates bloodied and bruised. This wasn't no ordinary fight. It felt like war behind bars. Yeah, so, him being arrested isn't really like the shocker. It's him coming out and his reaction to it. Right? Cause everybody's saying, King, you grew up privileged. Bro, why are you going down this path? Now he's talking about F the police. F12. So, it just he, and here's the chilling part. It wasn't random at all. Whispers from inside Georgia's prison walls suggest this was a cold, calculated hit, a setup plotted weeks in advance meant to crush King Harris in the most humiliating way possible. Some say inmates were sick of what they saw as his constant flexing, his family name, his lifestyle, his privilege. Others claim the attack was meant to send a brutal message. In prison, your daddy's fame, your Instagram followers, and your flashy past don't mean a thing. Behind those walls, respect ain't bought. It's earned with loyalty, grit, and the kind of toughness that keeps you breathing another day. So, the dynamics here are interesting. But I can't judge how the parenting has gone because everything that we've seen has been stuff that many of us would have said or similar if we saw our children do this. But I will say this. A lot of what's happening is because it's in the public. Like most children don't have to do this in the public. Weakness makes you prey, a former inmate once warned. And right now, King Harris is learning that lesson in the harshest way possible. The second word hit the streets. The internet blew up like a bomb. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every single platform went crazy with reactions. Some people are genuinely shocked, sending prayers for King, while others are cold, mocking him, dropping lines like, King finally met the real world and couldn't handle it. That digital divide only turned up the heat on the Harris family. Insiders say the pressure inside their camp is boiling over. Steve Settle reached out to me looking to make a deal on behalf of T and Tiny. And I told Steve if that my clients want justice. So, if the deal involves Tanya and T turning themselves in and admitting to the crime that they've committed, then fine, we got a deal. But if it does not, then I would prefer to have the investigators do their work and to bring criminal charges against Tiny and T. T hasn't slept since the attack. He's on the phone non-stop calling attorneys, politicians, and anybody with even a scrap of influence over the Georgia prison system. One Atlanta insider even swears T is ready to sign NDAs, cut checks, or promise favors. Anything just to get King out alive before another hit comes his way. Meanwhile, Tiny's running her own battlefield. She's said to be holed up in her war room, coordinating with publicists, lawyers, and media allies trying to control the narrative. But even that famous T and Tiny united front, it's starting to crumble under the weight of this disaster. Whispers from behind closed doors say the arguments are explosive. Each one pointing fingers, each one blaming the other for how their son ended up in this deadly mess. Friends close to the family aren't sure anymore. Are they fighting for King's survival or just fighting each other? Either way, King's life is hanging by a thread while the so-called unshakable Harris dynasty starts cracking wide open. Their empire, once sold as unbreakable, now looks like it's unraveling in real time. And this isn't about TV ratings, family pride, or staged reality show drama anymore. It's about life and death. What's throwing even more gasoline on this fire are the wild rumors racing through the streets. Some whispers claim King got caught up in a botched contraband move gone wrong, that he either refused to play ball or tried to finesse the wrong crew on the inside. In prison, loyalty is currency, and once you break that trust, you're marked quick. Investigators close to the situation even alleged King was lured into a corner of the block where 3 men were waiting to pounce. And here's the kicker. I graduated. That's the only good thing they posted of me going viral. I really am not on the media's good side. I don't know why, but it ain't. The surveillance cameras mysteriously went dark at that exact moment. The Department of Corrections swears nothing glitched, but nobody's buying that story. One of T.I.'s old road managers didn't sugarcoat it, saying straight up, "It's Georgia. Cameras break when they need to break." Meanwhile, King's condition is still shaky, and the family's private tensions are reaching a breaking point. Fans haven't forgotten how messy things already looked just months ago, like that infamous Falcons game where T was caught putting King in a headlock, live on Instagram, after another heated clash about how he was raised. That moment went viral back then. But now, with King's life on the line, it feels like a haunting preview of just how deep these cracks go. The world hasn't forgotten that viral Falcons game moment. T shouting, "You are embarrassing yourself and your family," while security jumped in and Tiny tried desperately to calm the storm, and you can. You know what I'm saying? Kind of woo-saw yourself outside of the public opinion. Back then, people swore that was King's lowest point. But this brutal ambush inside prison proves there's an even darker rock bottom. Now King's fighting for his life in a hospital bed, while the Harris family's chaos spills across the internet for millions to pick apart. That Falcons fiasco. Turns out it was just the dress rehearsal for something far uglier. And here's the sting. Prison insiders claim King wasn't just targeted for his last name. He was taunted non-stop about his parents' infamous scandals, especially those lingering trafficking allegations that T and Tiny have always denied. The whispers never fully went away. And behind bars, gossip like that becomes a loaded weapon. But King didn't help himself either. Reports say he kept flexing even from inside, posting for social media, calling out rivals, and hyping himself as Atlanta's next big thing. That energy might fly on the outside, but inside, the vets weren't impressed one bit. One ex-inmate told us straight with no sugarcoating, "We don't care who your daddy is. If you don't pay what you owe or you run your mouth, you get handled. That's the rule in here." And now King is paying that price the hardest way possible. His blood spilled in a war he thought he could talk his way through. I really admire his dedication and commitment to the crowd. 'Cause I kind of told him, what was wrong about it. Making mistakes. I ain't had no daddy who will pull up and get on my ass anytime. Things I did, you can't get away with. I know that, man. Damn. Yeah, that's, I ain't see that one coming. Really, nah, I didn't. Meanwhile, T is yanking every string he's still got left. Sources claim he's even threatened to blast prison conditions wide open to the public, while at the same time, slipping friendly media outlets stories that paint King as a victim of a corrupt system. It's the classic celebrity crisis playbook. Control the narrative, flip the blame. But with the clock ticking and threats still lurking in those prison corridors, one chilling question hangs heavy. Is it already too late to save King Harris? And deeper than that, people are asking if this is the inevitable outcome of raising someone to feel untouchable, only for reality to swing back harder than anyone ever imagined. The whispers spreading from inside are growing darker by the hour. This wasn't just some random beatdown. Word is, King crossed the wrong people in a way you simply don't walk back from. Multiple insiders hinted a contraband deal gone sideways. Some say King tried to back out. Others claim he tried to play slick and offend heavy hitters behind those walls. But in a place where every move is survival, betrayal is basically signing your own death warrant. And here's the bone-chilling part. Rumors say King's name actually popped up in a contraband ledger tied to a broken promise. In prison, broken promises don't fade away. They get paid back in blood. But the rabbit hole runs deeper than contraband. That because now people are whispering that King's last name itself is cursed. Being a Harris doesn't just come with fame. It comes with targets on your back. Inside that prison system, the Harris name has always drawn attention. But this time, it's toxic. Those old trafficking allegations tied to T and Tiny never really disappeared. And now whispers say King couldn't shake their shadow. Other inmates mocked him non-stop, calling him soft, saying his parents' scandals painted a target on his back before he even stepped inside. On top of that, King's microscope. One insider close to the couple didn't hold back, saying flat out, "This is worse than the lawsuits. Worse than the reality TV fallout. Worse than anything they've ever faced." And the more they scramble behind the scenes, the messier it all looks to the outside world. Even their closest friends can't agree on strategy. Some warn that dragging the prison system through the mud will only put a bigger bullseye on King's back, while others argue that staying silent is the same as surrender. And the Harris name can't afford to look weak. But every leak, every anonymous tip, every whisper from a guard only dumps more gasoline on a fire that's already blazing across social media. Fans are connecting dots between old scandals, resurfaced lawsuits, and this ambush, creating a picture even uglier than the family ever imagined. And let's not forget, this isn't King's first controversy. People still remember his wild social media stunts, calling out rivals, flashing stacks of cash, and hyping himself as Atlanta's next wild card. That might have been entertainment on the outside, but inside prison, that same energy painted him as a target from the jump. Other inmates reportedly laughed behind his back, saying he was acting like a gangster when everybody knew he grew up in luxury, protected by cameras and security. To them, King wasn't intimidating. He was a spectacle, a liability waiting to explode. And in prison, psychological warfare is every bit as lethal as the fists and blades that come after. Every rumor, every stare, every whispered warning inside those walls could be the first step toward another ambush. And with King's privileged upbringing being no secret, he became the perfect punching bag for resentment. Private schools, reality TV fame, bodyguards, and endless access to lawyers. Most inmates can't even dream of that life. To them, King stood out like a neon target they couldn't ignore. Some inmates despised him just for what he represented, others felt straight up insulted by the way he tried to play tough, and a few they simply saw him as a pawn in their own chess game. Either way, King's celebrity status turned into the very thing used against him. His fame was his shield on the outside, but inside prison, it became the weapon that broke him down. Meanwhile, on the outside, the Harris empire is trembling under the chaos. The other kids aren't safe from the spotlight, either. They're being dragged into the mess, walking through a minefield of old paternity rumors and resurfaced family disputes that were supposed to be buried years ago. The line between private heartbreak and public scandal doesn't exist anymore. It's all spilling into the open for the world to watch. The same spotlight that once built their brand is now ripping it apart, piece by piece. And the emotional toll is brutal. This ain't about a reality show cancellation, a viral meltdown, or even ugly lawsuits. This is about their son's life hanging in the balance, and the Harris family legacy cracking in real time. Every headline makes the nightmare darker, every whisper of betrayal sharpens the danger, and every public statement feels like another gamble that could blow up in their faces. The Harris family has always thrived on attention, but right now, that attention feels like poison dripping onto an open wound. And here's the cold truth. The justice system doesn't bend for fame. It doesn't care how many platinum records T sold or how many seasons their family lit up on TV. Behind bars, celebrity doesn't make you untouchable, it makes you vulnerable, exposed, a bargaining chip in someone else's game. For King Harris, that last name has become more cursed than crown. What should have been protection is now a liability, threatening his survival. And that brutal prison ambush, it might not have been the climax at all. It could be just the first chapter in a saga far darker than anyone's ready to admit. Now, the questions swirling are sinister. Is King simply paying the price of arrogance? Or is something way deeper moving in the shadows? A deal gone bad, enemies plotting revenge, a system quietly setting him up to fail. Some insiders are whispering, it's bigger than one fight. It's a storm of conspiracy that's been building for months. Meanwhile, the Harris family is scrambling, pulling strings, making calls, trying desperately to protect their legacy. But the haunting question keeps echoing louder. Is King just another casualty of fame colliding head-on with harsh reality? Or is he the first domino tipping over into a chain reaction that could blow the lid off secrets this family has tried to bury for years? From the moment King Harris stepped inside those concrete walls, the countdown started, and every move since has been leading to this brutal breaking point. What's crystal clear is this. King Harris wasn't just attacked for being himself, he was attacked for everything he represents. The Harris name, the scandals, the flashy lifestyle, the reality TV baggage. It all painted him as a lightning rod for jealousy and rage. Correctional officers even admitted off the record that inmates like King don't simply walk into prison. They walk straight into a storm. The second he stepped onto that yard, he stopped being just another inmate and became a pawn in wars that had nothing to do with him personally, but everything to do with power, pride, and reputation. And when rivals wanted to send a message to him, to the other prisoners, and even to the outside world, King Harris became the perfect target. Insiders point to how quickly it all spiraled out of control. One man who served time in George's system explained it bluntly. When someone with headlines comes in, the sharks start circling. They either want to break him, test him, or use him to score points. And that's exactly what King faced. Whispers about a contraband deal gone bad. Endless jokes about his privileged upbringing, and brutal taunts about his parents' legal scandals. It all turned him into fresh meat swimming with sharks, from day one. And then came the ambush. The moment the cameras mysteriously went dark, it didn't feel like a fight. It felt like a trap. A setup sprung at the perfect time, leaving King bloodied, unconscious, and fighting for his life in medical care. But fists weren't the only weapons used against him. The psychological warfare cut even deeper. Prison insiders revealed King was constantly warned, "Tone it down. Stop flexing. Stop playing celebrity gangster." But he didn't listen. And in a place like that, ignoring the rules is like begging for the storm to swallow you whole. King's attempts to stand on business only backfired, making him look softer to men who've spent years mastering the brutal code of survival. Respect isn't bought, it's earned, one ex-inmate explained. And inside those walls, that rule has always been written in blood. With King refusing to play by those rules, insiders say he was destined to get handled, and handled hard. On the outside, the fallout is shaking the Harris empire like it's never been rattled before. Lawyers are burning the midnight oil, pushing sympathetic narratives, spinning excuses, and feeding friendly outlets carefully crafted stories. Some claim T is locked and loaded with bombshells, ready to expose corruption inside the prison system if his son isn't protected. Meanwhile, whispers say Tiny is quietly begging allies to frame King as the victim of a vicious machine. Not a reckless kid who tried to play too tough. But no matter which strategy they push, the family can't escape one cold reality. The world is watching, and every single headline makes them look weaker. And to make it worse, the rest of the Harris kids are getting dragged straight into the storm. Old family feuds, messy paternity rumors, and long-buried scandals are being dug back up. And now social feeds are lighting up with wild speculation, connecting every dark chapter of their past to this crisis. What should have been a private nightmare has turned into a full-blown public circus. And it's tearing them apart piece by piece. Friends close to the family admit the emotional toll is brutal, worse than lawsuits, worse than TV cancellations. Even worse than that viral Falcons game headlock that embarrassed T in front of the world. Because this ain't about entertainment anymore. This is about legacy, survival, and the Harris name itself. Zooming out, King's situation is exposing a cold, dangerous truth the family can't run from. Celebrity privilege doesn't hold weight behind bars. It crumbles fast. Fame doesn't shield you, it spotlights you. Money can't always protect you. Sometimes it paints you as prey. And family connections, they don't bend a justice system built on ruthless codes and unspoken rules. King Harris's high-profile status wasn't a shield at all. It became the very weapon used against him. He wasn't just another inmate. He was the prize, the pawn, the bargaining chip. His blood spilled across that prison floor wasn't random. It was a message rivals wanted the whole world to see. And that's why this story is bigger than one savage attack. It's not just about King lying in a hospital bed fighting for his life. It's about what comes next. Every insider warns this ambush feels like the opening move, not the final blow. If King survives, can he outlast the next setup already waiting in the shadows? Will Tay's high-powered connections buy him a lifeline, or just paint a bigger target on his back for enemies who see him as untouchable and privileged? And what about Tiny's softer strategy? Will it protect her son or make him look even weaker in a world where dominance is everything? These questions hang over the Harris family like storm clouds ready to burst. Some whisper this is karma finally catching up. Others swear it's conspiracy at the highest level. And a few even dare to call it destiny. The unmasking of a family that built its destiny. The unmasking of a family that built its